Hi everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe. So last night I was working late and I was getting ready to go to bed, but I happened to check X and I saw that Ismail Haniyeh, the leader of Hamas, was killed in Tehran, the capital of Iran. And I'm no military expert, but in a war, when you successfully kill the leader of the other side, I think that's a big victory, and that's kind of a big deal. And that's what just happened. There's so much to talk about in this video, and all I would say is I would not play around, and I would get your temple recommend. If you don't have it, if you don't have a temple recommend, if it needs to be renewed soon, I would make sure to do that. I'm not trying to be an alarmist, but I think it's a good idea as we see this very unusual war play out in the way that it's escalating, and there's so much uncertainty, and so there's so much potential for escalation. I just think it's a good idea. So I would encourage you to do that. We'll just have to wait and see what actually happens, of course. But yeah, so he was taken out, which for me, that's surreal. It wasn't just him. You also had this guy, Fuad Shukr, who I guess he was like a top military commander for Hezbollah. I saw one thing saying that he was number 2. I'm not sure. I haven't been able to verify that. I just saw a post that said that. But you have this from Trey Yingst. He's a Fox News reporter. Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh is dead. Huge implications for the ongoing ceasefire talks and the war in Gaza. Well, and maybe for the region and for the world. The Israelis killed the head of Hamas and a senior Hezbollah commander just hours apart. Major questions about what the next few days will look like for Israel. Well, and for the world, and for Iran, and for much more than just Israel. I'm not going to get on his case too much, but oh my gosh, I tend to agree. Excuse me, I tend to agree with OSINT Defender's assessment here. He says, or he or she says, I see almost zero chances now that we are able to avoid a major regional war in the Middle East. The Gulf nations and other countries in the region need to pick their side if they haven't already done so covertly. So I think that's right. You know why? It's just based on what's been said before. So you remember back in April when this happened? So this is the Temple Mount and the Dome of the Rock, and there's rockets in the skies above it. And these are not Hamas rockets. They're not Hezbollah rockets. These are rockets from Iran. Because in April, we saw the first direct attack from Iran on Israel. It was a stunning event, right? It wasn't successful in terms of damaging Israel. There was a tiny, tiny little bit of damage done. But most of these drones and missiles and cruise missiles and rockets were intercepted. But it was a very dangerous situation. It was unprecedented. It hadn't happened before, right? And I just want to point out that April is the year that seemed to be pointed to by so many different things. So, for example, you have President Nelson's sevens, where for 7 months in a row, starting in September of last year, he would do a social media post each month that repeated a word or a phrase 7 times. And in the 7th month, that's when the Kirtland Temple came back into the church. And then the next month, it stopped. And I figured, oh, that's probably because, you know, he completed a series of 7. Now it's General Conference. Maybe the 7s were pointing to the Kirtland Temple. It's beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's intentional that he was doing this. The question is why, and I don't know exactly. I'm not going to pretend to know for sure. But we have the Kirtland Temple, and then, you know, you had this general conference. By the way, it was the 5-year anniversary of President Nelson's warning that time is running out. He said that 5 years before this, in April 2019 General Conference, in his talk called Come Follow Me. He said time is running out. And now I'm looking at this in kind of a new context, because I just realized that this is the same month where there was this pause where this happened. And now I think we're going to be seeing this again. I'll explain why in just a minute. So he's continued doing this, right? He picked it back up in May and in June. And I just checked before making this video. He still hasn't done one for July, which is interesting because we just had this happen this month. This could be a very pivotal thing. Maybe not. You know, maybe things will just continue. Maybe there will be a response and then things will peter out. I have no idea, but it could also blow up into a big thing. We'll have to wait and see. But I just want to point out, as this happens, the leader of Hamas being killed, it happened in July, and he hasn't posted this month. But anyway, let's get back to this. So let's go back to April really quick before we continue with what's going on right now. This is Jerusalem Post. Iran warns U.S. not to respond, says next attack on Israel will be more severe. Okay, so, well, it looks like we're at that point now, the next attack. We haven't seen it yet, but Iran said back in April, okay, Iran warned the United States not to respond to its attack on Israel as the confrontation between the two arch foes spilled over into the region, and the Jewish state weathered its first direct drone and missile attack from Tehran early Sunday morning. Quote, "Our response will be much larger than tonight's military action if Israel retaliates against Iran." Well, not only did Israel retaliate since that time, but now we have what just happened in the capital of Iran. And then continuing, "From now on, if the Zionist regime attacks our interests, assets, figures, and citizens at any point, it will face counterattack from within the Islamic Republic of Iran," Salami said, according to Press TV. This Associated Press article reminds us that the reason why this happened in April is because Israel had killed 2 Iranian generals, right? So that's what provoked that attack. Now, I don't know, arguably these are kind of bigger figures. At least Ismail Haniyeh, I think, is more valuable to Iran than these 2 generals. Because Iran controls Hamas and Hezbollah, and these are 2 of their biggest proxy groups, right? So I don't know, I could be wrong, but I feel like this is probably even bigger than killing those 2 generals back in April. And then this CNN article, Iran's response if Israel takes any further military action against it would be, quote unquote, immediate and at maximum level. Here we are in July, and it just happened again in the capital of Iran. I can't overstate that. So is this what we're going to see? Immediate and at maximum level? If that's the case, then probably really soon, maybe even today, we can expect an attack, but we'll have to wait and see. Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdollahian told CNN Thursday as fears rise of an escalation of the conflict in the Middle East. Quote, "In case the Israeli regime embarks on adventurism again," which they just did within the last 24 hours, "and takes action against the interest of Iran, the next response from us will be immediate and at maximum level." Okay, so I guess we'll wait and see if that's true. There's also this article and other articles like this that came out last month in June. Israel's Iron Dome risks being overwhelmed in all-out war with Hezbollah. Okay, well, there's a chance that Hezbollah may respond because one of its top leaders just got killed. So now Hezbollah has been attacked. Iran's been attacked. Iran back in April fired off all these missiles toward Israel. So doesn't it kind of make sense that maybe both of them, Iran and Hezbollah, may coordinate attack on Israel right now? It makes sense to me. Israel's Iron Dome anti-missile batteries risk being overwhelmed in the opening strikes of any significantly escalated conflict with Hezbollah. The assessment delivered by U.S. officials late last week, echoing recent analysis by experts in Israel and the United States, come amid fears that a war with Hezbollah could be a far more dangerous undertaking than the devastating 2006 Second Lebanon War, when Israeli bombing caused huge destruction in Lebanon. Okay, so I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of potential. On top of that, this has been a really crazy month. It looks like this is how we're ending this month. I just want to say one more time. In June, I did a live stream where we were reviewing the entire first half of 2024. I That's like becoming a tradition on my channel. I do like a half-year review. And the first half of the year has been crazy in a lot of different ways. And I felt, and I expressed in that live stream, that the second half of 2024 is probably going to be even crazier. And yes, again, already just in the first month of the second half of the year, July, there's already been so many crazy things that have happened. Let's just do a quick review. July 1st, Hurricane Beryl becomes the earliest Atlantic Category 5 hurricane ever recorded, and it caused a lot of damage, of course. July 13th, there was the assassination attempt on Trump. I can't believe we witnessed that. I can, but also I can't. A few days later, on the 19th, we had the largest IT outage in history. Y2K fears realized, which thankfully it didn't turn out worse than what I was thinking on that day, and I think maybe other people were thinking. Although it doesn't change the fact that it was the largest IT outage in history. That's when the blue screen of death affected all these different computers across the world, mainly corporate and government computer systems. Okay, July 24th, Pioneer Day. It was the 177th anniversary of Pioneer Day. Salt Lake City announced as host city of the 2034 Winter Olympics, which is just so interesting. And it's going to be the 27th Winter Olympics. Fire burning behind Ensign Peak, which Brigham Young saw in a vision in Nauvoo, and then saw for himself with his natural eyes on the 24th of July, 1847. So a fire, which is a symbol, it's something that's associated with the second coming, of course. You have a fire behind Ensign Peak. Ensign Peak is it represents like an ensign to the nations as the church moved its headquarters to Salt Lake, and it's been church headquarters ever since as we've taken the gospel to the world. And on that same day is when it's announced that the 2034 Winter Olympics are coming to Salt Lake on the 177th anniversary. That's a bunch of crazy stuff all wrapped together. Okay, there's more details to that, but just go watch that video. I just did it within like the last week or two. A couple days later, in the 2024 Paris Olympics, the opening ceremony mocked the Last Supper and displayed a lot of other horrific, disturbing, grotesque imagery. I feel like that's a sign, it's a sign of how far the world has fallen and how degenerate we've all become. Not individually, but just generally speaking. And now, today, within the last 24 hours, the leader of Hamas, Ismail Haniyeh, and Hezbollah second in command, Fuad Shukur, were killed. Oh my goodness. And then I just want to remind you of how this war compares to previous conflicts, intifadas, and other existential wars. This is Israel's fourth existential war. And I've added this column. I don't know why I haven't done this until now, but column I, which has the total casualties on the Israeli and Israel's enemies side. It totals it all up by year. It includes terrorist attacks over here. But here's the total for this year. If the numbers are right, of course, there's debate over the numbers. And I haven't updated this in a little while, but 36.7 thousand. Okay. You go back in time. We go to, let's go to Israel's last existential war. Well, here's the first Lebanon war. That one was pretty deadly, 20,000. But its last existential war was the Yom Kippur War back in 1973. And that almost reached 18,000, but not as much as what we've seen with this war. Okay, let's go to the 6-Day War, 16,000 compared to 36. And then you go to the War of Independence, which was about 22,000 compared to 36. So this is a very, very deadly and dangerous war. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the final war, and we're just seeing it play out. So to finish this off, let's just look at a few of these posts on X. I found a few of these interesting. This is from Aviva Klumpus. Earlier today, Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh attended the inauguration ceremony of Iran's new president in Tehran. At the ceremony, the crowd chanted "Death to Israel." The angel of death had other plans. Don't mess with the Jews, says Aviva Columbus. Oh, yeah, that's another thing to think about. Let's go back to my Second Coming timeline. Here it is. I really, truly think this is my best guess. When Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi and Foreign Minister Amir Abdollahian, when they died in a helicopter crash, some of you felt that it was an act of God, and maybe it was. I'm not going to say for sure what happened, but I feel like now more than ever, I really think that this was not just a mistake or, a pilot error or, weather or poor visibility. I really don't think so. At a time like this, I did a video about this where Israel said that they're able to reach anybody that they want to, and that the leadership of Iran would pay for different actions that it took during the war. And I think that they made good on those threats. That's what I think. That was back in May of this year. So in May, the Iranian president and the foreign minister both died, supposedly in a helicopter crash. Well, I guess it was a helicopter crash either way, but what caused the helicopter crash, I don't know. And now the leader of Hamas and a top commander of Hezbollah just died. So, yeah. Okay, continuing. Times of Israel alerts. Austin says U.S. will help defend Israel if it's attacked in wake of Haniyeh killing. And that's what happened last time in April. You had the U.S. and I think other allies and even some Arab nations like Jordan that helped to thwart Iran's attack on Israel. They took down drones and cruise missiles and stuff like that. So I guess it would make sense to see a repeat of that. Visegrad 24. What a 24 hours. Hamas top leader Ismail Haniyeh killed in Iran. Hezbollah leader Fuad Shukr killed in Israeli airstrike in Beirut. U.S. airstrike kills Iranian proxy group PMU commanders in Iraq near Baghdad. And then, oh yeah, there's this whole thing going on in Venezuela. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a video on that, but maybe I will. It is pretty noteworthy. Something crazy is going on over there. Venezuela in full uprising against Maduro. So I guess we'll see how that plays out. Mario Nafal, Iranian commander, be prepared for bloodshed. Quote, be prepared to tell the Zionists that the punishment for shedding the blood of a guest is... Okay. Be prepared to tell the Zionists what the punishment is for shedding the blood of a guest in our home. Yeah, I guess we'll see. Sprinter, the last message of martyr Ismail Haniyeh to the free people of the world. That's make the 3rd day of August a national and international day of solidarity with Gaza. Well, the thing about that is whenever these like days of outrage have been declared since the beginning of the war, none of them have really brought forth much fruit for the side calling for those days. When the war started, I was paying close attention to those kind of things because it felt like they were really trying to get things going. And I think that they were, but I don't think that they were able to enrage other Arabs and allies as much as they wanted to. They didn't get them in on the action as much as they wanted to. So, but this might be a day to look at August 3rd, but I'm assuming it'll probably just be a dud like all the other ones have been. We'll see. And then there's this OSINT Defender. I mean, maybe I shouldn't even share this, but OSINT Defender, very unconfirmed reports right now, but some sources in Syria are claiming that Brigadier General, that's a 1-star general, Amir Ali Hajizadeh, the commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Aerospace Forces, has been assassinated in an attack near the Syrian capital of Damascus. Hajizadeh is believed to have been the senior commander who planned and ordered the Iranian ballistic and cruise missile attack in April against Israel. So if that's true, maybe that's why. Maybe Israel's like, yeah, we know what you're going to try and do, so we'll take him out too, to ensure that you're not able to respond very well. So anyway, these are signs of the times. Even if this isn't the final war, you know, it could be a primer for the final war. Who knows? But I tend to think that it is the final war. I think things are going to continue to escalate and just get crazier, both in Israel and the Middle East and throughout the world, as we see all these protests raging all across the world and division. And like I said, I would not play around with this. It doesn't matter how you think things are going to play out with the second coming, what you think still has to happen. It's not a bad idea just to make sure that you're ready with your temple recommend in case you're wrong, right? And you know, the fact still remains that you could die any day, so you should be ready at all times just because of that fact. But when we're being given all these signs and wonders and red flags, we have no one to blame but ourselves if we're not ready. So just be smart. If you're not going to church, please come back to church. Start taking the sacrament again. Share the Book of Mormon with people that you feel prompted to share the Book of Mormon with, and then let me know about it, and I'll track it on the Flood the Earth challenge tracker. So don't be complacent. Okay, that's gonna be it for this one. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.